will, 95% of population will be okay with living in mediocrity. Book actually goes in that. And
the miracle.
Yeah, the miracle morning. So we're starting today, and it's fascinating to me how so many people are okay with where they're at, even if they're barely eking by. The morning is such a powerful time to actually ramp up and really get going. Let's do this where there's just the two of us. Come up, pull your chairs up. I want to do some things. It's really a way to really get you into quick response. And the way we do that is just, it's a kind of a round robin objection handling technique, and we just do it as fast as we can. What objection are you struggling with?
Gatekeepers.
Gatekeepers. So it's not really an objection. That is a.
And they're looking for their ball. They're not the one.
Yeah, it's really not an objection. It's a condition. You think about it. The condition is that they're not the really. It's kind of, you're right. It's a gatekeeper. It's a very difficult thing to deal with, and until you can get the mom, the dad, or whoever, you know, the question always becomes: are you participating in the purchase of the property financially? Is a question that I like to ask. Because if they are, then they're no longer a gatekeeper. They're a decision maker, and they're part of the transaction. But primarily, it's being done because of the child. So my suggestion is start asking the relevant questions to the gatekeeper of what is your role in this. And yeah, you got to be careful. You can't ask it like that because that's very condescending, somewhat. So you have to ask it in a fashion. So how are you helping out in the process? Is your role to specifically find it? Are you financially part of the transaction? How can I help you best? But listen what I'm at. How can I help you best? Because that is the person you're having the conversation with, right? So we have to be focusing on the gatekeeper, if that's what we're going to do. So it's basically back to rules of engagement. How am I becoming part of that? What am I doing? How am I getting them to maybe be a cheerleader for you? So here's a great plan. You know, I know here's the market, here's what we're doing, here's what we can do. If you can buy into them, or they can buy into you, you're probably golden, especially in that scenario. It's how we look at it. You know, most of us are going to look at it, dang it, these guys are wasting my time. No, they can actually become an ally to the process. How can I help you best? What is it you need from me? So listen to the words that I'm saying. How can I help you best? What do you need from me?
What if they say, no, I'm not part of it?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. It's a lie, because they are. Not financially,
right,
but they wouldn't be answering the phone or looking if they were not. So I don't know that you're going to get that, because every parent wants to save the day. Now, in the event that you're not, well, how can I help you help them best? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's, again, just making them feel important and part of what you're doing. How can I help you help them best? How can we help them get to work? So now you're becoming a weightlifter with them. Does that make sense? You're lifting the load. They're like, oh, finally, somebody's just going to listen and allow me to be part of it. That's the best way to actually deal with that kind of scenario. But if we keep trying to pound through the wall and bust down the wall, how are they going to feel? Attacked, devalued, all of those things. So remember, it's how am I showing up in their life to cause them to respond the way they're responding. They are purely by the conversation that's going on and the fact that you're contacting them because they did something to help their child. And their child may not want it, their help. That's a reality. But look, you have to get them to buy into what you're doing also, just to maybe have that insight help. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So not an objection, just somewhat a condition.
Yeah, I have one. how do we non-condescendingly tell someone you have to get pre-qualified before you get property?
Oh, it's easy.
Because we get people like, oh, I'm 6 months out. If I see something I like, if I see a home that I like it, oh, have you been pre-qualified? Not yet. I'm gonna do that when I see the property. How do I say when I give that back, I am condescending?
Yeah, no. Here, it's a great question. So ask me the question. Or
I'm not gonna get pre-qualified, but we're not in a rush. And when I see the property I like that you've been emailing me, then I'll start getting pre-qualified.
Yeah. No, I totally hear what you're saying. Perfectly understand. Let me ask you this. When a boxer steps into a ring, unpracticed or unconditioned, what typically happens to that match?
We're gonna beat up.
They get knocked out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you typically, what you're saying is you're stepping into the ring with not being prepared. What I would suggest is let's talk to a lender to try to determine the loan that best fits your needs. So I want to be able to structure it so I can negotiate stronger for you. If you're truly serious about buying a property, let's get you strong and powerful in the process so that I can negotiate better. Fair enough?
Yeah.
So you almost have to put it in a picture that they can see and understand. A guy is perfectly going to understand what happens to the boxer who does not step into the ring, conditioned, practice to a prize fighter. They're going to get knocked out. You're going to get hurt. We don't want that. It's about helping you become a much more powerful negotiator, which could mean thousands of dollar difference. And if we're competing, if you're the strongest prepared buyer, that makes perfect sense. Wouldn't you agree? So let's do the right thing and talk to the lender.
I just have trouble remembering all that stuff in the moment.
But that's why we do this. So now you do it. So let's do that one. Okay, we're going to do that round robin. You just heard me say it. Do your thing. It could be anything. It doesn't need to be a box. Or it could be something.
I don't want to view any properties because we're like 3 months out. So keep sending me the emails, and when I see something, then I'm going to get pre-qualified then.
Okay. Listen, are you or listen's a bad word, right?
Yeah, it can be. It could be. So let me share with you my concern with that.
All right. Philippe, let me share with you my concern with that. Are you a sports fan at all? Are you in any sports?
Yeah.
What's your favorite sport?
I like soccer.
Soccer? No way. I played soccer in high school.
Yeah.
So in soccer, I had to spend a lot of time, probably like 10 times more time than I spent per game a week, practicing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what all the professionals do, and they're prepared for the game. What do you think would happen if I didn't practice or if I didn't prepare for that game?
You wouldn't have won.
Yeah, I mean, you come in, you're unconditioned, your team just smacks you.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm saying is I want you to be prepared for when you do find that perfect property. I want you to be prepared and talk to a lender to go over the best options for you and loan program for you. So that when you come to the table, you're going to be more qualified and more prepared than all the other buyers.
Would you rather be over-prepared than under-prepared?
Would you rather be over-prepared than under-prepared?
Yeah, I'd rather be over-prepared.
All right, I'll have them give you a call tomorrow at 5 or tonight.
I get that. I don't know what to do when they're just saying, no, I'll see it. And I'm like, okay.
Then they're not serious.
Yeah. And
Here's what
What do you do with those guys?
The ones that are not serious, call them back. Look, you put them in. Look, you're always building the pipeline, right? So, look, and remember, it's about value statements. Okay, if you can get these guys to see clearly that what you're proposing is a major value statement, they're going to go. They're going to make it happen. They're going to take the journey with you. If they're not a real buyer in the moment. That doesn't mean they won't be. You have to encourage them and keep calling them back. Look, 75% of your business is going to be based on your lead follow-up. Now think about it, 75%.
Dang.
That's high. What does that tell you? It tells you in the initial contact, very low conversion. Somewhere along the line they crystallized in the motion to buy a property if you get them on that first thing. But you'll get them closer to that by asking the relevant questions. How soon do you want to make this happen? What's the most important thing to you about buying a home? How can I help? And if they're saying, yeah, we want to buy, we've gotten married, going to be out of our apartment. Listen to the breadcrumbs along the way. Those are pieces that are telling you, hey, I'm ready, I'm willing, I'm able. Might be a question, and that's the very reason we need to talk to a lender to try to determine the loan that best fits your needs. In their mind, if they have debt, and they say, well, I can't buy because I can't qualify because I got my ratios are too high. My next question is, are you a veteran? Because of the loan program and what I can do with it. But see, they don't know that. Most lenders don't know that. But if I know that, what does that mean? I'm putting more deals together. Especially if I have somebody who, let's take my property out on Lamont Lowell right now. You know, it's 359. Would these guys pay more points for that? Most likely, because they're willing to take. So they're willing to reduce potentially after the first year by 3%. You think they'd take a full price offer and give up 6% in closing costs? That's the option. And that's when I talk to my sellers, it's okay, here's our option. We can offer up to 6% in closing costs at $359 or drop the price. What would you want to do? If you have that option with, you know, you might do a flyer and do a campaign to veterans. This house is willing to pay up to 6% in closing costs to any qualified buyer with full price offer under VA qualification.
Closing costs would include.
I'm not sure I'm understanding that how it works.
Closing costs would include the commission.
No,
Like 3%.
I mean, ultimately, they're paying 12% now, right? Okay, look at this property, 359. If I reduce this 3%, how much is it going to be?
$10,000.
10,000? Okay, so we're looking at 349. If I come in and say, I'm giving you 10 grand, you give me this, I'll give you this to pay off my Jeep, my city card.
That only works with VA loans, though?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So this might be 6 grand. This might be 4 grand. Now this is a real scenario. I did this with my nephew. These were the amounts, and this was the close to the amounts.
Where does that money come from?
This.
Oh, the price of the home?
Correct.
So it comes out of the equity
Yeah.
of
So
the home?
you're had one statement, 6% commission, 6% closing costs, title about 1%. I mean, yeah, you're looking at 13% here. But look at, here's the game. I don't have any offers. They have their house is being built, going to be finished in 3 months. Nobody's making an offer. What does that tell you?
It's overpriced.
There's better deals. It's overpriced. Overpriced for what the market will bear. Doesn't mean the home isn't worth it. It's just not what the market's giving you right now. People get caught up in a fixed number, and that's what it is, what it has to be. That's not the case. It's what the market's going to drive. But here's the reality, is in this scenario, it gives you another approach to actually getting a property sold. So my strategies and techniques I use are much wider and broader than 99% of the agents out there, because I know how to navigate and negotiate.
Where does the seller benefit in that deal?
They get the house sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
But the house sells for 10 grand less, right? They've got to come down.
as opposed to if they had a conventional, then they wouldn't have to deal with.
Of course. But see, you're thinking for them.
Yeah.
See, your mindset is not where it needs to be. You got to get out of your own way. Okay? People, you can find all the reasons why not to go here.
Yeah, that's true.
In your mind, you're going, why would a person go there? Well,
Because their house isn't selling anyway.
there you
They'll
go.
probably get it on a conventional. I mean, most houses at that price, you're going to take 5 to 10 grand off the list price.
There you go. My next step is to go to 349.9. I future pace them on this. But the option I want to give before I do that is, why don't we offer $10,000 in closing costs to any VA or person out there willing to go ahead and purchase at full price? I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, here's what I know. Appraisal wise, the home it'll make it 359. Yeah, it can happen. There's a home in there. It's sold for 359. So it's how you're looking at the market. So the objection, really, an objection's only because they can't see. It's our job to show them the different ways. In your mind, this is fascinating. We're talking about this because where did his mind go immediately? Why would anybody ever do that? And it's fascinating how 99% of the agents out there say that same thing. Why would anybody do that? It's not your choice. But if you're not giving them the choice and flexibility because of your knowledge in the marketplace, you're probably breaking your fiduciary responsibility. Don't make the choice for them. What you do is, hey, I got an option, want to roll past you. I know we're going to go ahead and drop this thing, $3,000 or $10,000. What if we offered it out and did a campaign for a week or so to a VA buyer, trying to drag them in? Because now we're creating an opportunity for a buyer to purchase. And if they're waiting so think of the psychology around this. The buyer is thinking, I can't buy because I got to pay this debt off. Well, if you could buy right now, would you? Well, yeah. Well, how much can you afford? $359. Great. Okay. So if it was $359 and you were getting 10 grand to pay off consumer debt, you'd be okay with that, right? Well, yeah. Well, I got a property for you.
That's good.
Because it's not your choice. How great, let me ask you this. So you go in, you reduce the price of the property, you're going after a group of buyers, and we still don't get an offer. But because you come up with an option of keeping it at $359 and you got an offer, you think the seller's going to be upset at you or happy with you? Happy.
So, and I don't understand this whole process. You offer $10,000 in closing. You're at $359. You offer $10,000 in closing. How did they roll? How does that work? That they're paying?
Good question.
How are they paying off their stuff? Because that's closing. That's not. Are they going above 3% on the loan? They go 103.
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
All right.
You guys all know what a HUD one is. It's a little differently now, but a HUD one, when it has it's a breakdown of where the money's right. So in the breakdown for the buyer, there is this $10,000 on the seller side going to the buyer. But on the buyer's payoff, or what the buyer has to do, it has payoff, I think it's section 502, payoff Jeep, 6,000, right?
Oh, that would be long.
Credit card, 4,000, payoff. So line item comes down 10 grand.
So they can use their closing costs to. So where do they're still going to have closing costs on their VA loan, right?
Of course.
So where does that?
You can
They
either
roll it in or they have to pay it.
They can roll it in or they can pay it. They can do. There's a multiple of ways of doing it. But the beauty is that you're able to bring the debt ratio into alignment.
And what's the percentage that you can do that with?
What do you mean?
So let's say you were going to offer 20 grand on that 359. Can they use 20 grand?
6%
So
is all I've been able to do.
Is the most that you're allowed to.
You have to see the 6% on the consumer debt. My nephew on this particular thing actually The complete 3% is all we use towards paying off consumer debt, but he's up in the 400,000 range. So we used, I think, like a point and a half, 2 points to actually pay the closing costs, and then the remainder was to pay down the debt. And I still had money to upgrade the home warranty and doing a bunch of things. And here's the beauty: the home appraised, and this is rare, for I think $10,000 more than offer.
So you look great.
What do you get? Free Jeep, free credit card. Do you think I was a hero? You look like a badass, is what you look like, because you're able to understand the ability to negotiate differently. The question becomes, why wouldn't you use that for your clients? That's why I'm always asking, are you a VA buyer?
So can you advertise that out with, non-discrimination, all that kind of crap you have to go through with your advertising? Can you advertise that you're going to give debt only to VA loans?
Well, here's the thing: it's only VA that offers it. But here's why: when I say if I can show you some techniques and strategies to help you buy a property or sell a property, is that something that would interest you? See, when I say that, most people are thinking they're hollow words, because you know my script probably better than anybody.
Yeah.
Look, if I can get you what the market will bear, plus what we need to market the property, therefore you have nothing to lose and everything to gain, is that something that would interest you? Yeah, well, how are you going to do that? By techniques and strategies in which I use to help you get where you need to be. I'd love to come by and show you how I do that. If you lay out how you're going to go after a VA market and future pace them, you might be able to pay up to 6% and make this happen.
How do you go after a VA market?
Well, I'm going to go after and look for anybody. Like, let's take the National Guard. You know how many buyers have sold to the National Guard?
So what do you mean by that? You just call, you show up at the recruiting station? What
Go
is
to
it?
recruiting, and there's a lot of different things. I'd be going out there saying, hey, I want to do a program or a seminar with your battalion. I got some techniques and strategies that would really be a game changer for your troops. What about Camp Williams? What about getting with the general out there and saying, hey, I want to provide a value for your people. I'd like to become that liaison and show you how we can, first off, get a lender who understands this and team up on it. I mean, why isn't anybody doing that? You know what? I would absolutely kill it out there right now because you guys aren't doing it.
Do you think anyone does that?
No.
No.
No one does that.
100%.
No. I am shocked. I've been teaching it for years. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, oh, that's cool. Then they run off and they don't do anything about it. Why? I don't get it.
Sounds like work.
Well, that's the thing. It's work. I mean, our book's going to go into some of this stuff today, and I think it's
Which one are you guys reading? Miracle
Miracle
Morning for
Morning.
real estate agents or just Miracle
for
Morning?
real estate agents.
For real estate agents?
Mm-hmm. I'm loving this book.
It's a good one.
Loving it. But look, the things that you just learned this morning, if you take it, you can set yourself apart. Big thing for you, get out of your own head. We've talked about this 100 times. You've got to get out of your own head. Because what you think and what really can happen or what they think is two different things.
Yeah, you said you present the options.
Correct.
You don't make the decision.
I don't make the decision. They get to make it. It is surprising to me how a big part of the clientele won't even think about it or do it. It's like, oh, okay.
Face.
Good thing we got a huge crowd here this morning. We will rock and roll. That's weird.
college and high school.
Passes today.
But that's how it goes. Millions of people living as foes. Make it. It's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate. Mental wounds not healed, life's a fantasy. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I've listened to preachers, I've listened to fools, I've watched all the dropouts who make their own rules. Purpose and condition to rule and control. Let me in the sales it, and you in the pro. Mental wounds still bleed, driving me insane. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I know that things are going wrong for me. You gotta listen to my words. Playing the Cold War and feeling the wrong. The hands of travels are reaching now. Crazy, I just can't bear them. Believing something that just isn't fair. Mental wounds not healed, doing what's stupid. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train.
Taking action is easy for me. I can even start each day. I enjoy being debt free. As I'm ready, I enjoy all my friends. I have all the fruits on the road to heaven.
Because I am
Feeling my way through the darkness, guided by a beating heart. I don't know where the journey will end, but I know where to start. They tell me I'm too young to understand, say I'm caught up in a dream. Life will pass me by if I don't open up my eyes. Well, that's fine by me. So wake me up when it's all didn't know I was lost. So wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older. All this time I was finding myself, and I didn't know I was lost. I tried carrying the weight of the world, but I only have two hands. Hope I
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? Bless you. Would you guys do me a huge favor and pull up? Por favor.
Am I close enough?
Poquito uno más, por favor. Okay?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm speaking Spanish. It's not all I can do, so I'm done. You're probably fine. Rachel, if you'll come up a couple rows, so.
Oh,
Bless
so
you.
far.
I know, right? So far, my voice is starting to get a little weaker, and I want to make sure you can hear me.
Oh, we'll hear you. Oh, we'll hear you.
Right? How's everybody doing today?
Good.
Awesome. Sick?
Yep.
Okay. But you're here.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm not sick because my immune system's strong.
Yeah, but she's bruised,
She's bruised, yes.
right?
But not broken.
But not broken.
Unbroken.
Yeah, unbroken, right? Good. Any gratitudes and victories for this week?
I started here last year.
Yeah.
And you guys were here.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how I have to be more open-minded, because now I'm learning. Here's what I've learned all year. Everything ended up working out as it is, whether I panicked or not. So if I don't panic, well, it's gonna, if I focus on the problem rather than just let it happen. I've already had some success by accident. So if I focus on it, it can only get better.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason I ever panic
I love
at
that.
all, because I panicked all year long, and the same result has happened. So if I'm in those situations, instead of panicking, if I'm focused on it, then I'll just have more success.
Yeah.
And I have to be less distracted. I have to get out of my head, which is all distraction. That's really what it is.
Yeah.
It's just distracting. It's all noise.
Yeah.
So
Without question, Philip, it's been fascinating to watch your journey. Here's a guy that's got a degree in philosophy. And it's fun to watch him and listen to him, and to start submitting to the process, which we have to do in order to be successful. Angel, do you have one?
Well, it's not as deep as his, but I finally got a new battery for my car, so it turns on.
See, look at that. Bam, that's a win.
I should have gone first, but
Yes, I love it. No, that's totally good. The little wins are good too, right?
yeah.
We're here. That's a big win.
It
So,
is for me.
yeah, you're here, Rebecca. Congratulations.
Not on time yet.
Anybody else have anything they would like to share? How'd we end up on the bell ringing?
It was great. Thank all of you. How was your experience?
Me or her?
You? I think you.
Oh yeah, I mean that was great. It was cold, but it wasn't bad.
It was cold, and it's rewarding for me to see people that want to come out and help,
Yeah.
because it makes such a big difference
Yeah.
to people. And a lot of people don't understand the Salvation Army, but once you dive into it, a lot of people are asking me, so tell me more, what do they do, where do these monies go? And I did talk a little bit more about that, but it's just good. And George always talks about one of those pieces of your happiness is contributing and giving back. Because you have to give to receive.
You do.
And I think oftentimes when I'm doing things for others, it makes me feel very grateful and realize, all of the great things I have that others don't. So.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I've learned over the years, I'm happiest when I'm serving others. It's crazy, but I think it's the way we're wired, if you think about it. It's what I believe God wants us to do, and I think that's why it gives us so much happiness, is that when we're in service of others, we find our ultimate happiness. So thanks for doing that.
It just gives us purpose.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it's really not about us. It's about others around us and how we help lift them up in their times of need. And that's such a great service for helping support people. So thanks for doing that. All of you have done that. Any others?
If anyone wants an opportunity, the Road Home,
Oh.
still has openings right around like Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, and any age can do it. So it's pretty cool that you can take that down.
Yeah, thanks for being part of that,
Yeah.
sharing. Absolutely. Announcements. John Syatt today on base camp. Be here.
What time is that?
11:30 to 12:30. Look, John is such an inspiring speaker and leader, and to listen to his journey and the things that he's conquered is fascinating for me, to just listen and how passionate he is. And then also our holiday schedule. On the 26th, how many of you plan on being here in the morning? I know, look today, I mean, I get it, and look, this is a question we want to know, because I don't want to show up and be the only one here.
I'm
So-
out of town till January, mid-January.
See, and that's kind of what we're trying to figure out is,
I'll be here, but I don't want to.
well, look, we'll be here if it's just one of you here. I mean, okay, so if you're here, we can come in and we can do some things. We can talk about point leveraging, the VA thing we were talking about this
How
morning.
long is that gonna be? From what time is the?
Just in the morning.
Just in the morning Ascent. I mean, it's just this the day after Christmas, so we were trying to decide, do we hold it or not? Now, for you guys in my role plays in the morning from the 27th clear to the 3rd or the 2nd, I'm not here.
Okay.
So if you guys want to come in and do it. I suggest you do, or get with somebody and work on some things. So it's just the 26th is the only day I'm going to be here, and we normally we're going to be the entire day here. So am I missing anything, Russ? So I know it's short numbers because of the holidays, but so I commend you who are here for being here and working on your skills. We did so much of that yesterday. It was a lot of fun. We're up to almost 400 views on that.
Nice.
I know, isn't that crazy? So that's pretty cool.
What did you do?
We just we were role playing just an entry to door knocking. We didn't go deep. It was just a rapid round thing we did.
So you put it on YouTube?
We put it on Facebook, and it was like, wow. I mean, 100 views like that. And I think we're just under 400 views this morning. I thought it was fascinating. So practicing on your skill set right now is a great thing. Get your mindset into that so you're prepared. So I commend you guys doing that. You guys did really well. So who's reading the book? Okay, cool. So when you read this title, Miracle Morning, what's your thoughts? What have you learned? What's the takeaway?
My thought is, I'm not a morning person.
Tell me more about that. What do you mean by you're not? See, I think this is fascinating because I think we are what we want to be, or what we're willing
Well,
to.
that's what I used to think.
I still believe that. It's your choice. It's all a choice. But why do you say
Well,
you're
I
not a
believe it's
morning
all a
person?
choice, but okay, all my life I've struggled, and in high school, I was a gymnast and a dancer, so I woke up before I went downtown and was on a professional dance group, worked out in the morning before school, and I never was happy, but I did it for years. When I was older, I tried to change myself. I taught aerobics at 6 a.m., sometimes to 60 people.
Okay.
And I never was happy. I try so hard, but
Rebecca, look at a
I
couple
come
things.
alive after 10 p.m.
Okay, but hold on. Look at a couple things. What caused you to be? I know you're a very talented singer. I know you're talented in a number of different areas. Wasn't it the morning that really kind of set that into motion?
No.
Okay, so you're talking about the gymnastics. Tell me about the gymnastics. How early were you up?
Well, so I was a gymnast from young, and then I coached for about 15 years, so I was always a gymnast.
So if you made it to the coaching level,
yeah.
how early did you get up to get to that level?
Everything was in the afternoon.
In gymnast?
Yeah.
First I've ever heard. Good for you. Here's what I'll tell you.
Because you had school, and so
I had school, clear through fighting and
I
wrestling.
never.
And it was always early morning.
No, because as a private gymnast, see, that was back when schools did not hire assistant coaches.
Okay.
The private gymnasts.
You're the first I've had say that,
Yeah.
and that's good. If that's
Sorry.
what worked, no, don't be sorry. It is no reason to apologize. It's your story. Here's what I'll tell you. In any sport I've ever had a part of,
Most sports start in the morning.
every
Well,
sport
these
I've ever
sports-
had anything to do with, including the gymnasts that I worked side by side, were 5 o'clock in the morning. So what I'll tell you is why do you think they do that?
Well,
I know where you're getting to.
it's, I did track and field in college, and you have to get up at 6, and then you lift, and then you go to school, and then you practice, and then do your homework, and then
So
it's a discipline, really.
Yeah, it is a discipline, right?
That's all it is, and you have to do all the worst things in the morning because that's.
Well, I
if you can
think
do it then, you can do it anytime.
Yeah.
See, normally I agree with you because all my sons in football, it was before school and that, but that was back when the kids that learned in school did not learn at the level that we learned at. Because, I mean, I was coaching my high school team as a high school student.
Huh. Well, you know, the reality is the person that actually strives to pull themselves out of mediocrity. How do they do that? This book is extremely fascinating for those reasons.
They go against their biological set points and change them. And
Right.
I agree with all of that.
So Brenda Lee, you had a thought?
I think it's all about your big life.
There you go.
If you
Yeah,
don't have
that's-
anything you want to get up and do, you're not going to do it.
Thank
I
you.
have friends that are just like so right there that I can't associate with anymore. Because when I go to Europe for a fantastic trip and I come home and they say, I don't want to hear about your great trip, I'm like, done. I mean, it's like, I want more. And if they don't, then let them stay there. You
So-
can't change them.
Yeah. So the book talks about that. Tell me more about that, about what you're experiencing.
Well, I don't want really so much more from me. I have way enough. But I want to do something because I have children and I have grandkids. And so I want to do more for others. And I think that's my biggest life.
Mm-hmm.
And it is hard because I've sat down with John Syatt and he'll like dive. It's like, I mean, it's the why that makes you cry.
It is the why
And
that
it's
makes
not
you cry
I
like
want
that.
to fly to
That's
Paris
cool.
and I want to do this and I want to do that. Well, that's fine, but it doesn't make me cry. It makes me smile. I'm like, yeah, I'd like to do that. But when you talk about making a difference to the people that mean the most to you,
Mm-hmm.
that's the why. It's like contributing,
I
whether it's to
I
your
agree.
family or strangers.
You're absolutely right from my perspective. You know,
Yeah.
Russ does this thing, it's needs analysis, and it gets to their deep into what we're talking about. And you'll see the emotion that boils up out of an individual because they truly get down to why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And it's fascinating to watch that process. You know, it's been really interesting to me that most of the people who've been successful in this business start with an early morning ritual. The book goes in and talks about a real estate guy and his wife who's a lender. Who you guys remember reading that portion of it? But anyway, he's fallen, a great successful individual, but he's fallen into this pattern of mediocrity. So when you hear the word mediocrity, what does that mean to you?
Being stagnant.
Being stagnant?
I think you can be mediocre if you make $1 million a year for like 7 years straight.
But even if
Less.
it's $1 million a year, tell me more. It's fascinating that you're saying that, especially as a philosopher, because do we truly really end up where we should be?
No,
No,
I mean,
we shouldn't.
I agree that it's all just a decision.
Yes.
I mean, even if biologically I'm more comfortable staying up in the evening and doing my create, where some people are more comfortable in the quiet of the morning, I can switch that. I just need to decide and have a bigger why. And I agree with all of that.
Well, I think that's the important thing, Rebecca, is it's about focusing on your why and how do I get ahead of where I'm at? What are you unwilling to no longer put up with? I think that's the thing. I mean, looking back on Brenda Lee's journey, I'm sorry to pick on you, Brenda Lee, but when she was a Coldwell banker and she was doing all these things until she made a decision, and then chose to come here. The difference in the journey and the fact that you've gotten up, you've got your game on, you've started moving forward, things really started happening for you. Is that accurate?
It is, and it's so funny. John used to really tease me a lot. He's quit doing it. And he's like, when I first met with him, I'm like, well, I don't prospect. And he used to tease me that, but I'm like, I know I should, but I didn't make phone calls. The minute I started like engaging with people and started to communicate, everything changed.
Correct.
What's that?
Imagine that.
Imagine that. I know. It's like I was just more like, okay, call me. I'd make a little few phone calls, but.
And I find it fascinating, those who have been in role play in the morning through the years of being here and watching their progression, they don't see it near as much as what I do. But how do you tell what works? By the results. I'm fascinated with Amari and what she's doing right now, taking this journey really pretty new and it's still. But you have gone to bed at what time?
Oh gosh, like 1, 2.
And what time do you get up and you're in here? 5? So it's a choice. Whether you go to bed late or not, that is an excuse.
That's true.
I wake up anywhere from 3:30 to 4:30 every day without an alarm clock. Drives my wife nuts. So I'm really, really quiet. But I'll tell you what, it's a routine I've gotten myself into. So the question on mediocrity, again, what are you no longer willing to put up with? I'm curious at what were some of your answers are. What is it?
Being broke.
It's a big one, right?
Yeah.
Being broke. What else?
Just the lack of abundance.
Lack of abundance.
Getting by, stuff like that.
Eking through.
Not being able to handle stress.
Not being able to handle stress. So, the book goes in and talks about how to change this. I want you to turn your attention to page 29, the 7 causes of mediocrity, and I want to go through that. We only got a few minutes to finish, but I want you to focus on these things and start applying them in your life, or thinking about it and figure out how can I change where I'm at, and are you at a mediocrity or are you lower? Ask yourself where you're at, and are you settling for where you're at? I refuse to settle. And you guys have heard in my coaching with you, I'm always looking for another step up to get better. And again, I do that. Most of my time to kind of get my head in the game for the day is in the morning. I mean, I'm either meditating, praying, focusing what my day is going to look like. That takes place for me in the morning. But for as long as I can remember being an athlete, the morning was the time to really become better than anybody else. I was always the first in the ring, first on the mat, first ready to go, and it made me a champion. And so I guess this is why this really, really, really works for me. This book. Here's a big one, and we've heard it before. 7 causes of mediocrity. Rear view syndrome. What is that? Rear view mirror syndrome.
Looking at the past.
Look at the past. Look, it's just a past. It's obstacles that you overcome. Somebody said this to me the other day, and I thought it very profound. I think it was George. The rear view mirror is a much smaller view than the windshield in where you're going. That's profound, isn't it? But think about it, yeah.
Well, I loved what he said. He said if you keep looking in that smaller window, you're going to crash.
Ooh, see,
You're going to crash.
again,
If you're not looking forward and you keep looking to your past.
I think it's okay to look back, Amaria, and say,
To be grateful.
yeah,
for
to
how
be
far
grateful,
you've come.
right?
Absolutely.
Wow, that was a tough one. We all have problems. Look, here's the reality. Whether somebody's died, sick, I don't care what the issue is. You're right. You can be sorry. You can be sad. You can feel horrible. Next. Because if you allow that to control you and looking in that rear view mirror, you're going to crash. Because you can't get a clear view of where you're going. Such a relevant thought. But remember, it's part of being, moving past that mediocre place. Here, I love this next one. Unclear purpose. What is your purpose? This is right into the why, Brindley. Why are we here? Why are we doing what we're doing? What motivates us to be here and do the things that we're choosing to do? Look, you're choosing to be here. And I love that because it tells me where your heart and your spirit's at. It's a choice to become better, to become part of something. And if you have any thoughts along this as we're going through, please comment. Isolating incidents. What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
Assuming magnifying one situation to make it bigger than it is.
Let me read this. I think you're right on. It says next, something called isolating incidents. This is one of the most prevalent, yet not so obvious. So true. Causes of mediocrity. We do this when we mistakenly assume that each choice we make and each individual action we take is only affecting the particular moment or that day. A lot of you heard me talk about the ripple effect and what the ripple effect actually does. It's a scientific phenomenon that actually ripples through your life. Every word, every action, everything we do causes a ripple around us. And as that ripple changes, they're creating a ripple, which does what? Bounces back at us. So if it's negative and it goes out, creates negative energy, it's going to bounce back at us. Everything we do, say, become is right around this isolating incidences. In everything we do, which is fascinating to me because it's what we are becoming that matters. We will make mistakes. We will trip, fall, say something stupid, or out of anger or emotion. That's why we should be filtering and understanding, how am I affecting this individual in that moment? Will make a big difference in how and what you're becoming for those around you.
Is that called karma? What goes around
Yes,
comes around.
right?
I always will say, hey, Salt Lake is very little. Don't burn any bridges.
The
You have to
karma
be
factor,
very,
right?
and that's why I am so attuned to working with other agents and being the very best agent I can, because you call them, they'll call again and again, and they remember you.
They remember
I
your
remember
listings. Yes.
So
I
it's
mean,
like, you'll see some names and they're like, oh heck, I don't want to show that house. I don't want to be one of those agents.
I've been one of those agents. Oh, this guy's kind of rude, loud, mean, because it was my way or the highway. Do it or don't. I don't care. This is the price. You don't like it, move on.
You're saying you were?
I was.
Were.
Really?
Were.
Really?
Yeah, no longer.
Yeah.
no longer. I refuse to be that person. Russ can even attest that I'm a much kinder, softer individual than I was at Coldwell. For many reasons why it doesn't matter, but it's a choice.
But you've turned up your service like,
Yeah.
that's all you do, Rick.
Yeah, no, I agree, and
Serve
thank
everybody,
you. I
which is
appreciate you
great.
saying that. It's very validating.
But that's, I think, if, I can't imagine you that way. If
I
you
can't
were
either.
that way.
Yeah.
I think your direction and management has changed you then because.
Oh, no, hey, this place has. Russ and I talk about this all the time, and why did we come here? Because of what this place is and what it does for us.
It's amazing.
You look at what it does to us and how it shapes us, but it's the very reason I signed. I knew what I was and what I didn't want to become no more. And it's a better place to be.
It's interesting you said that because I was at Coldwell Baker forever, and nothing bad against them.
No,
but
great company.
when I kept getting phone calls to come here, well, I didn't know anything about, it was Everest then. And in the middle of all that, neither here nor there, I came here, and then I was in a mastermind with April Oaks. And April was at Coldwell, and she was all adamant that that was the best thing since sliced bread.
Correct.
And I just kept sharing everything that was happening for me. With George and John and Rob. And it was so enlightening the day I walked in and I saw April and Leslie here.
Yes.
So it was just like one of those,
I laughed.
Isn't it? It was interesting though. I'm like, okay, they drink the water.
Well, isn't it fascinating how we resist what's good for us?
But you don't know.
You don't know what you don't
And
know.
I am like so very, very grateful that I took that step. And I'm sure.
Well, we are. I mean, I am. I know Russ is also. I mean, we talk about it all the time. In fact, I asked the question, I think it was yesterday or the day before to him, now that you've seen and been part of this, would have you have made the move again? And what do you think his answer was?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Look, I knew coming here this would be a much tougher place to exist because I would grow. That's why I signed. Because I knew it would shape me beyond what I was. I was tired of being that pissed off person that, just wanted to hammer my way through life. That's not a good place to be. It wasn't a comfortable, happy place to be. I want to be happy.
But sometimes you think that that's the way to get through life.
Will you believe that's because that's the way I grew up? I mean, I was a survivor. I mean, I'm somebody who had to fight for everything, constantly validating myself, and it wasn't what I needed to be. So I appreciate you, Rebecca, saying what you said. It's very validating. And Brenda Lee, that you've seen a change in who I am and what I'm becoming, because I'm still growing. Here's a big one. Lack of accountability. I mean, we're running out of time here, and I wish we could get really more into this, but lack of accountability, there has to be accountability. Marina's smiling. I see Rachel grinning from ear to ear back there. Here's a big one you mentioned, Brenda Lee. Mediocre circle of influence.
That one's
Huge, right?
huge.
Seriously, one of the big reasons I'm changing, this man right here, is I've allowed myself to be opened, coached, and understand. Tell me from your perspective, whether I like it or not, makes no difference. I don't care. You've done that for me. You said, look, give it to me straight. None of this candy coated, but you give me permission. I give him permission. When you do that, it changes you. And sometimes it's a little hard to take. But when you're willing to do that, great growth starts to come.
I feel like that's what breaks you and makes you.
Right? It is.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to be willing to do that. Phoebe, you've been an epitome of that. You come in, you struggle, and you've resisted, but you give permission to actually tell me what the deal is. So the circle of influence that we have is creating who we are.
Remember in yesterday's role play, you beat the hell out of me.
Yes.
I was just standing like,
Oh, you did.
but then I think I could have handled that 7 months ago. Like if that happened to me 7 or 6 months ago, I would have felt picked on or something. But
Correct.
then you think, oh, everyone else is learning. I'm learning. So I have to get the shit beat out of me.
You do see guys. You have to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah, if I'm not allowed to do that, I'm not going to get better.
You got to be vulnerable.
And what I love is when we aren't able to say, be honest with me, George, his favorite line is, can I take a risk with you?
Yes.
And I have learned that in my own life when I know there's something so good. And you take it not just here in your business, you take it home to your family.
You do.
And I will say, can I take a risk with you? And then, of course, someone's going to say yes, because they don't really know what that risk is. And then you can say, well, look, this is how I see it. And George does that, and he does it so good.
It's because he's practiced that. He wasn't always that great at it. I love, that's why I think Russ's classes, again, are so powerful, because it's about asking for permission.
Exactly.
When somebody gives you permission and you understand what they want, you can confront them, right? So it's extremely important. Good point.
I love that.
Yes. Angel.
Oh, no, it was just
You were just voting.
yeah, something like that.
Insufficient
Say
personal
amen.
development. This is big.
What was it?
Insufficient personal development. And the last one, and we'll close with this. Lack of urgency. People think I always have till tomorrow. Let's decide where we're going to read to the next. Remember, I'm not going to be here, so I'll probably have to see if we get April do it, or if we decide that if they're not going to have it, Russ. I don't know.
Can we take a week off?
We could.
Well, I just think next week is so crazy. I don't know.
How is prospecting during the last week of the year? I don't know. So I don't know what
Keep
it
doing
is.
it.
I'm
Yes.
actually out of town.
Do it.
I
Really?
would do it. I would absolutely do it. If anyone answers, great. And if not, I'd leave a message saying happy holidays.
So I'm not gonna offend anyone by
Oh,
calling the
no.
day after Christmas.
Absolutely
That's not
not.
gonna like.
If you do, they'll get over it.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna see, you're an active full-time agent.
That's it.
To make things happen.
That's what I've been
I would
assuming the past.
absolutely
This week and
say,
next week.
hey, happy holidays, have a great new year. I'll call you in the new year.
Say, yes, I do work, even through the holidays.
I'm
That's the commitment you're going to get when you list your home with me,
exactly.
or when you buy with me.
Well, I'm using that all next week.
Use that, write it down. I think there's no problem.
Hey,
with
do you ever
it.
find
I
the
mean, think
local-
about yourself. Would you be offended if someone called you during the
I had
holidays?
But let's look today, because
I
I'm here.
get that they're doing their job.
But I will tell you, when you call, the biggest pet peeve for me, because we all get solicitors calls. And
Always.
isn't the worst thing is like, hi, how you doing? This is George from California, whatever.
Yeah, don't be
They're
phony,
like, hi,
be
how
real.
you doing? Oh, that just feels like, you know right away they're a solicitor, so you need to go in. I mean, you guys
Bill
talk
and Tim.
about it, just like,
Uh-huh.
hey, this is Brenda, I'm from Sector 21 Everest. I'm calling to see how I can help you.
It's the
And look at
intent.
myself,
Yep, look,
just get to the point. They know you don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care how I am.
the intent is what they'll feel. I
Yeah.
love the way you just do those two different
Oh
personalities.
my gosh, anytime anyone calls me with that kind of mojo, I just wanna say, I'm busy,
I'm done.
goodbye. So you just shut
Every time
people
I've got hung
down.
up on, it's been because I'm, oh, yeah, yeah.
Everybody,
You know what, like, how you doing? You don't care how I am. Really.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, did I catch you at a good time? That's better information.
Okay, ready?
I don't say too much.
I succeed because I know the words. I remember the name. I know it by their call.